Well, so anyway, I normally launch it off as like, "Hey, welcome to Raw Talk Podcast," but it's not just me today; it's D&D over here too. So I'll let you kick it off, and I'll be here.
Alrighty, well, basically today's conversation is about the dynamics of co-parenting, coming from the perspective of a woman, single mom, and a single father. And I wanted to talk about this because, of course, most of the time we get the perspective of the single mom and what she goes through and how that goes, but it's rare when you hear from a single dad. So
Right.
that's something I don't feel like people talk about enough. So
That's fair.
yeah.
Well, why don't you start with a little bit about yourself, and then we'll go from there.
Okay, so for me, of course, I'm a single mom. I had my son, I got pregnant when I was 30. I had him when I was 31. He's 3 now. Me and his father were together for 5 years. And it was one of those situations where, of course, like my intentions was, we're going to be together. This is it, marriage, all the great things that come with that. But, it didn't quite work out that way.
Right.
Eventually, I realized that this wasn't going to be it. But by the time it was like, no, it was too late. I was pregnant. Which, of course, doesn't stop you. It was like, oh, you're going to leave now? Ooh, pregnant.
I had this thought, and then I said, let's have sex about it, and now we're here.
Right. So, pretty much, like, and I'm not, and like, no lie, and it's not, and I in no way or form do I ever want it, to make my child's father look bad, anything. I just, you grow apart from people, and sometimes in your mind you want to ask yourself, okay, am I just tripping? Is it just me? Let me just stick around. Let me just, try to put more energy into it, and maybe it'll change. No. So I had my son, and literally, like, maybe the day after I had my son, because his father came down to stay with me for a couple weeks after the baby was born, because he lives in another city. After I had my son, the second day after, I told him that I just wanted to co-parent.
Damn, that quick?
I did. You know what? Okay.
I don't even heard of be making people do irrational shit, but damn.
No, listen to me. Like, because I already felt away. Like, I was already disconnected in the situation.
Right.
So, and then I was just like, golly, like, so it bothered me, and this is gonna sound crazy, but it bothered me to be in my house with me and my son and acting like we're just a happy family, because we were.
Right. The delusion of the family, because the existence of the structure,
Right.
the bones of it existed, but there was no.
Right.
I got you.
So, like, every moment of him being in the house, like, I wasn't trying to be mean, but I just wasn't feeling it, and I don't know how to be fake in that. I just don't know how to do that. It's never going to work. You're going to see it. You're going to feel it. You're going to know that I don't want you here.
I get it, and I think as a parent that comes from, because when you think about your family, there's this there's this vision, and regardless of what the house in the vision looks like, regardless of what the land
Yeah.
looks like, there's this spirit of wholesomeness that you contrive in your mind, and you know what it should feel like because in your spirit you feel it, but then in actuality, when it comes to the tangible physical exchange of energy, if it's not there,
It wasn't
there,
there. It
I
wasn't.
people kind of secondhand that a lot, but it's a huge factor. So I mean,
Yeah,
I'm
it wasn't
I'm
there.
tracking.
Yeah, it wasn't there. And a part of me felt bad 'cause I'm like, darn, like, my idea of when I had a child was having a child as a family and being a family, but you can still be successful at parenting and being a family even if the two are apart. Um, I just didn't want my son to be in an environment where his parents weren't really on the same page. Like his father really wanted to try to work it out, really wanted to do this, really wanted to do that. But for me, I'm not here. I don't want to continue. I can't fake it. I don't believe there's anything that we can do that will make me feel a different way. Like I just don't want to do it. So
Which is crazy because I got two baby mamas,
yeah.
and I hear the way that they talk about me, and then my interactions with you, and I'd hear you during your drop offs with your son's father,
Mm-hmm.
how highly esteemed you talk of him and how much you value him as a father, as a counterpart.
Because he's a great dad. I can't take it from him. He's a great dad.
And I feel like even from a man's perspective, oftentimes with our baby mamas, that we confuse a great co-parent with a great partner, and the two aren't
Right.
all
No. Two things can exist at once.
right. It's like you may be the most amazing mother or the most amazing father, but
But as a partner, you're not it for me.
correct. And I said I feel like a lot of people get stuck between that misunderstanding that they can't accept both, because it was kind of like we came from a society, a Western society, where it's patriarchal,
Mm-hmm.
Which sometimes you even go back to let's gaslight dads real quick. Dads are normally extremely patriarchal in their home. They're a dominant presence. But back in domestic violence wasn't as talked about, and these men were extremely abusive. But as long as their status was good, and his bosses and your mom had liked him, you had to be with him because he was a great father and a great man. But doesn't go on, but it didn't matter because he wasn't a great partner.
Right.
And I think that a lot of times people get lost on that, and they don't understand that it's okay to have your cake and eat it too, because I'll be damned if I have my cake and someone says I can't eat it too. You know me. Come on.
Yeah.
I ain't for shit. If I got my cake, I want that and the frosting on the bottom of the package. You that'll make you a great parent. You're not a great partner. Get the fuck out of my face. So I feel you. So what's your lifestyle like now as a single mom compared to what you thought it was gonna be?
I don't feel like my lifestyle is way off from what I imagined. The only thing that I would say is different is of course, the absence of the father being there more, of course.
Right.
As of right now, my son's father gets my son every other weekend.
Right.
So the only thing is the time that he spends with his dad. That's the only thing that's different. Of course, I will want my son around his dad a lot more. That's his dad, and he often wants to go to his dad's house, do the boy stuff. He's always with mom's doing girl stuff. I get it. But other than that, my life, I can't complain at all, honestly. I feel like I'm very blessed.
Do you feel like with you having more of the time with him that it limits your opportunities or anything?
I can say this. As much as I wish I could work more, because this is my thing, and this, myself growing up, my son's an only child. I was an only child. My mom was military, and so was my father, but I was with my mom, so she was often gone. Me and my mom's issue was my mom was always gone. I got no time for my mom, and then when she was home, she was still consumed by work. So my time was, I didn't really get the time that I felt like I needed. So
Right.
I told myself, when it comes to my son, I was going to make sure no matter what, I had time set aside for my son. So for those who don't know, I do hair. I'm a hairstylist. I have my own salon, whatever. I work around my son's schedule. So I drop my son off in the morning. I go do my workout immediately, and then I go from there. I do hair. I do hair until it's time for me to pick up my son. When I pick up my son, everything's done. Now, I do an online class, so I might sit down on a computer, whatever, might finish up a little work, whatever. But for the most part, when my son is home, that's it. My time is for him. So, like I said, we alternate weekends. So the weekend that he's with me, I do things with him. I do not work on those weekends. So, of course, I would love to be able to work more, and ultimately that's my choice to do these things. I'm not into the whole babysitter thing. You call me crazy, whatever the case may be. I don't have that trust for people I just don't. And people say, "Oh, we'll just put the cameras." Nah. Because I can be off working.
You don't need to be around my kid.
Exactly. If I'm off working and I'm here at a different location, and then I see on the camera you doing something to my son, by the time I get there, whatever's done could be done. Like, I just don't. I don't care. I don't do that. So my thing is, my son goes to school from the morning to about around 3:30 when I pick him up. If my son is not at school, my son is with me. If my son is not at school or with me, he's with his damn dad, because that's who I made the kid with. So I don't believe in anybody else having to be in that mix unless they're family, and I mean close family.
Well, then you side influencing the psyche of your child. You know what I mean? And I'm big on that if I don't recognize my kid because someone else's behavior is
I don't want to do that.
There's a problem. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I'm really big on that. So yeah, me doing it the way I do does limit me, but at the same time, I'm gonna make it work. How about that? I make that work.
So let me ask you this. So I mean, obviously you're really big and hyper focused on the relationship with your son and his relationship with your father. How do you make time for relationships for you and all of that? Because you're a business owner, you're traveling every other weekend. So that way his dad gets his time. When do you have time for you?
Well, I have designated days that I take for myself to relax, get everything done as far as, things that we need for the house, whatever, if need be, doing my self-care. I do have time for that for sure. And if and when I have a love interest, I make time for sure. It was a time where I was in relationship, and so the weekends that my son would be with his dad, I would go and be with my love interest. So I can make time for that, of course. But at the same time, if at this point, you need to be worth that time at this point. It needs to be serious. It needs to be serious. It needs to be a situation where, okay, I'm making extra time for you, so this needs to be, it has to be intentions with this situation. This ain't no, right. Yeah, this ain't no, we just kicking it. No, I'm beyond just kicking it and stuff like that. There's an intention for this situation that we have here.
Right. Don't just stick your hand in a cookie jar.
No, you ain't sticking your hand in nothing but your pockets.
Ooh, pocket burner. My pockets stay empty, so I just keep it in there to relax my posture. I just want to give you a full disclosure for future reference. If you tell me to stick my hands in my pocket, they're simply there for cosmetic effect. There's nothing coming out.
I cannot.
There's nothing. You get me as I am. You've been calling me Barry for 8 years. This is what it is. Nothing's coming out of those pockets. I've got 2 daughters. Just as fast as I go onto that account, they come off.
I understand. Believe me.
My daughter logged into my bank account. She goes, I see that you have $800 over in that account. I need toys, and they're only $300. So
Oh.
I think this will work, Daddy. And I'm like, no, it won't. I'm like, why are you even in my account? And how do you know math? There's no mythical
Oh.
solutions here. Oh my God. Like, she's a gold digger.
Oh, she's
Like,
on it. She's a gold digger.
oh my God. I'm telling you, when I ain't got no money, she'll look in my account and she goes, so we're doing nothing today? I'm like,
Oh, wait, you got something on your hands. My goodness.
she light skinned. That's why I can't date light skinned women.
You know what? Don't do that.
No, like light skinned sisters. They the same way. They gold diggers. They got. I love them to death, but they all got a little tinge of hooker mentality in them. They all want you for what you got. And I'm telling
pretty
you,
privilege.
pretty privilege.
Uh-huh.
A game on me. Let me tell you. She'll tell me, Daddy, you look so handsome in that shirt. It makes you look so strong, and your jaw looks so beautiful today. I'm like, thank you, baby. She goes, my handsome daddy. Let's go to the arcade. Just buttering me up to absolutely fucking.
Yeah,
it's emotional. That's why I have relationship struggles now, because I can't be led on. My daughters lead me on every single day just to get to some fruity pebbles before dinner. They lead me on. I can't do it. I know.
So, your situation.
Oh.
What's up with your situation with your children?
Oh man. So it's like, even when I was in a relationship with their mothers, like all of my kids, I always felt like a single dad. And I say that because you've known me since my first baby mama. And you remember how toxic I was. And that,
right,
as a result of that, like, I went through that. FBs, get money, ride a couple bulls, crash cars. I don't remember this chick's name, but I did it. Like, you remember that phase of my life. I feel like relationships are a bigger struggle for me because I am a real emotionally invested person. Mm-hmm. And I feel like if I give a woman any amount of my time, whether it's, and let me just clear the air now, because I already know men do not have friendship intentions. Men are solitary creatures. We have plans, we have futures. We are not just hanging out to hang out. If a man tells you, oh, that's just my best female friend, she's a backup relationship interest that hasn't come to fruition yet. That's just how we are. If I give you my time, whether it's sexually intimate or if it's just friendly intimate, there's a level of intimacy there that I'm extremely protective over, and I'm extremely devoted to.
Mm-hmm.
That was non-existent for me at some point in my life, just because I was so traumatized. I was literally afraid to date because I had wool pulled over my eyes and I didn't understand where I went wrong. So later down the road, when I had my daughters, it gave me a different perspective of respect and feminine energy, and I'm then. And even with their mom going back and forth, with the domestic violence, the abuse, the alcoholism, she struggled with. It's not that I think she's a bad person. She's got bad vices, yes. But I was so unhappy even when we were together as a family, because there wasn't even co-parenting. There was like counter-parenting. And I think oftentimes as dads now, we don't really speak up about it, because I feel like when it comes to us ending families, people, especially women, our spouses, they will verbally tell us that we're failures. Yeah. Our children are used as weapons. The most fucked up shit I had said to me was, oh, well, I'll just run off with the kids and you can go start another family and fail at that one.
Oh, wow. Oh.
So I think for dads it's different. I don't trust women. And it's like I want to. I'm such a hopeless romantic. I want to go out to like Central Park in New York in fall, be dressed up in our fall clothes, drinking coffee and seeing the park. I want to do romantic shit like that. But at the same time, as a man, there's this primal warrior in me that I'm ready to fuck shit up at all given points over my kids, and I will die alone on my hill in order for my kids to see me wholesome and happy and truly invested in them. And I feel like women, especially like co-parenting, is tough because baby mamas still want all that respect and attention, and when you become absent and void of giving that to them, they take it as a sleight of hand, and the only leverage they got on you is your kids. So yeah, dads don't talk about it. It's tough, man. We we we,
Yeah.
we get the evil side of that, and we're tired. We work hard. Thank God I'm not on child support because I take
Yeah.
care of my kids. Child support is for absent fathers. I just want to clarify that for people. Absent fathers by choice, not from alienation. I just want to also clarify that because my first baby mama, she alienates the shit out of my son for me.
Mm-hmm.
But in order to pursue child support, she has to allow visitation, and she know I ain't do shit wrong. So that's where that is.
Mm.
But even with my daughters, I would never choose to absent father them because it's not in me. And
Yeah.
I think that the biggest thing is finding time to rediscover who I am as a man, as an individual, because a father exists solely because of the purpose given to him. Men are purpose driven. We're result focused for the most part. Real men are anyways. I'm not talking about these deadbeat download dudes, but real men are driven by purpose, and I think my kids gave me so much purpose, and so when they're leveraged as weapons, it can spiral us out, man. I can tell you the scariest thing is not being alone with the absence of a woman. It's being alone without the absence of my children.
Yeah.
That's absolutely terrifying. It's heart-wrenching. Like, just even because I went through that time before my daughters were born without seeing my son for years. God, I can tell you the anxiety. It's like hearing someone say, "Hey, someone close to you died." Ever you get that anxious feeling where your heart's just like in your throat and you can't breathe? Like, just remembering that, I can refill that trauma in my chest and have a straight on panic attack because I've lived through it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, certainly.
So, co-parenting as a father isn't really co-parenting. It's counter-parenting, because no matter how good your intentions are for your children, if baby mama is not a recipient of some form of benefit of your relationship with your kids, it's counter-parenting. And I feel that's why dads don't talk about it, because we don't see co-parenting like women do. We live in a patriarchal society, yes, but when it comes to legalities and courts, the patriarch is the breadwinner. That's why we go on child support. We're deemed less fit parents. But there's automatic assumptions. Like for me, going through the domestic violence shit with my daughter's mother, if we tried to get away, there's no shelters for men and their children. Domestic violence organizations exist to help mothers going through domestic violence, but not fathers. So fathers don't talk about it because there's nothing there to talk about. We just nut up, shut up, get the fuck up, pay the bills, and take care of the kids. You know what I mean?
Okay, so we know that there's 3 different types of co-parenting dynamics. Of course, there's parallel, cooperative, and conflicted co-parenting. Would you say that with your child's mothers, it's more conflicted?
Conflicting, yeah, but it's from a dogmatic standpoint, because I'm completely zen about it. I'm Hakuna Matata,
Yeah, but
like,
on their end, would you say like you guys just don't meet in a common area when it comes to the co-parenting?
yeah, for sure. I would say it's conflicted.
Okay.
They want to, especially my daughter's mother. My son's mother, her being absent, she's not really a big factor in it. But my daughter's mother, like when we first separated, when I was in Georgia, down in Tallahassee, Florida, and I was taking care of my kids all the time. I was driving down there, 2-hour drive, hour and a half there, hour and a half back, to see my kids every chance I got, even if I got out of work early, But she wanted me to buy her bedroom furniture because she had nothing to set a house up with. Utensils, helping with car notes and stuff. And I'm like, you're not my, you know what I mean?
Right.
And I feel like oftentimes for dads with co-parenting, when it's fresh, the hardest part is not getting on a schedule. It's getting on an understand that, hey, like what you're asking for, don't ask me for nothing outside of what's court ordered or what we've agreed upon, because you're not in that position of privilege anymore.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's the biggest thing. Like, men give out privileges too easily.
So you told me your son is with his mom, and then you have two girls with you.
All right.
Okay, so would you trust your daughter's moms enough that at some point when they get to a certain age to allow them to stay with their moms?
Yeah.
Or are they, do you feel like they're not fit for that?
No, I don't think they're unfit. Like if I had all my kids in a house, and then one day they up and said, "Hey, Dad, I want to go stay with my mom," go for it. At the end of the day, my job as a father is not to be oppressive. It's not to be an all-bearing present. I'm not omnipotent. That title belongs to God. My job as a father is for them to know the truth and know the difference. To know the difference between when Dad loves them freely and non-oppressively. And the truth is that I'm here for their pursuit of happiness. I'm here as a guide. I'm here as a teacher. I'm here as a rock and foundation that will never waver on my kids. I don't care what they decide to do. If my daughter, Melody, she's the youngest, she's a little Disney villain, and she just said, "Dad, I want to be a full-blown jewelry thief," I'm going to say, okay, these are the consequences. How can I help you? It doesn't matter like what. Hopefully she never says that, because I'm gonna be conflicted. but the whole purpose of it is that as a father, I'm here as a guide. I'm here as a protector. I'm here to teach them resilience. I'm here for them to know how a man should be and how a man should not. And if a man ever crosses that line over my babies, well, not you call me Barry. And, everyone knows that Barry's a serial killer. So, you get the gist of what I'm saying. I'm there as kind of their buffer between them and the Matrix, basically.
Well, and the reason
there won't be no zeros over them. That's raw data. But the truth is, inside of that raw data, I am their truth. I'm going to be absolute, and I'm going to keep them on the straight and narrow. That's my only job. If they want to go with their mom, go with your mom. Be wholesome. Be free. Explore that love. You know what I mean?
Right. The reason why I asked is because, of course, they're girls and, girls and mom. And I always wonder, like, I hear women talk about how I'm not letting him go stay with his dad, whatever. And the way I stand with it is I'm not a man. And at a certain age, like right now, my son is 3. He's at the nurturing stage. So I'm nurturing my son. But when he gets to a certain point where the nurturing, we did that, then I'm 100% open for his dad to then step in. And now this is the time you and your dad do the rest of this, or not just like alone, but I'm going to be there. But I'm just saying, I can't teach him how to be a man. So,
but yeah, here's the thing: at a young age where he's at now, that's critical. That's where he becomes a man. Stepping into adolescence and pubescence is a physical age thing, but mentally, we are at a very young age. I knew my birth daddy, and I went into foster care when I was 5 years old, and somehow I interacted with him 20 years after the fact, and I turned out to be just like my dad, with no type of preteen influence, no type of double-digit influence. He left out that house, I think, when I was 4 or 5, and I reconnected with him when I was 27. 22 years later, I turned out just like my daddy. And his wife of 15 years, she laughs because I'm bullheaded. He's bullheaded. We imprint on our fathers and we become men at a very age. We step into manhood later in life. But the man we decide to be, that happens before we're 7. That's a given, you know what I mean? So that's why, like, I challenge mothers all the time, like, okay, dad's the getting the less time, but how is that impactful on how masculine and how innate he's going to be? Because at the end of the day, our sons, we want to be great men and great fathers. They not always be great partners to who they're with. It doesn't mean they're violent or anything like that. It just means that they're not fulfilling to their choice of partner. But as long as they become great men and great fathers after us, we've done our job.
Right.
Yeah. So my thing is for you is like, what if Jay wanted to be with his dad more at a young age?
I want him to be honest. I have those talks with his dad. Like, you know, he gets him every other weekend, but I'm like, hey, like, he wants to see you. He says it. I want to go to my dad. Like, you guys need that, you know. And I'm not saying you need that because I want more time to myself. No, I'm not saying it for that reason. At the end of the day, my son is my road dog. I don't mind having my son at all, at any time. But I know for a fact that he needs to spend more time with his dad.
Right.
I know it. So I push for it. I ask for it. So, you know, as you know, I'm getting ready to move to the same city as his dad.
Correct.
And initially, to be perfectly honest, I didn't want to because my ego stepped in and was like, no, why do you got to make it convenient for him? Like that, but that was my ego. When I sat on it and scaled that shit back, I told myself, you know what, this is not for you, this is for him. Fuck what his dad thinks, fuck what anybody thinks. I want my son to have more time with his dad. And if the distance is making that harder, then let's bridge the fucking gap then.
Right.
And you spend more time with your son. So I ultimately decided, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to make that move. I want my son to spend more time with his dad. He needs that. This is for my son. So I'm totally open to him spending more time. I'm moving so that he can spend more time with his dad. I done found a job there, everything already. For him to spend more time with his dad. I do not want them to have a relationship like you know, my situation. I don't want that. I want my dad. I'm sorry. I want him to have that with his dad. I do.
Right. And that's respectable because not a lot of women share that open vision, you know. They don't share that selflessness. And I feel like that's one of the huge upsets in the dynamic why single homes remain single homes and why you have single parent but you don't have single women, you know what I mean?
Right.
And I feel like women oftentimes, men too, because oh my god, I do it. You will date, but you will keep them completely away from your kids because you don't want to repeat the same cycle. You don't want to start all over.
Yeah.
And it's tough because you're like, unless I'm really vibing this person, I know this person in and out, and I know that they've got my kids' best interest in heart, I'm not giving them that kind of access. And in terms, I feel like we always short our own relationships, and we always short our own happiness because of our, not just the protectiveness of our kids, but because of the repetitive emotional cycle, you know what I mean?
Yeah, most definitely.
But yeah, so I don't know. I think dads, it's different because we want to date, but we also don't want to introduce our kids to different women because we don't want our kids to look at us as unstable. As dads, we're always taught that stability defines who you are. And I don't know. I think with my daughters, I came to the conclusion that maybe I'll start dating when they are out in the world on their own or something like that, unless the relationship opportunity opened its windows that I said, yeah, me and this person are absolutely on the same board. We're equally resilient. We're equally focused. We know what we're thriving for. And I think now this year, as I'm becoming 30, it puts a different perspective on it that, you know, my youngest one is 3. I've got her for at the most 15 years before she's ready to take on a life by herself. And I can tell you, at 45, I'm still gonna be daddy. You know what I mean? So, so ain't no hurry. Would I like to meet someone before then? Yeah, of course. I mean, I've got a whole bunch of love in me, but I don't want to meet someone when I'm 45 because I'm like, I'm already gonna be established, a home, 100 years. I ain't gonna want to fucking let someone infiltrate my compound. It's gonna be for the boys. Be all about the boys. What kind of tractor you got? Can you stay up at the bonfire all night? No, my old lady's I gotta come in. I don't got an old lady. I'm gonna sleep outside. Sleep with
my god.
So I don't know. It's kind of like I made peace with kind of like have a woman there reeling you in and keeping you grounded, or grow old and free fall. And I'm indifferent to either outcome at this point. You know, I think as a dad especially with daughters, You want to be a wholesome individual. You want to be fulfilling. And co-parenting, it doesn't exist. It's co-tolerance, I guess.
So let me ask, how would you like? How are you? And I'm not saying how are you, like how are you generally, but how are you mentally as far as being a single dad and dealing with everything at the same time as far as work and
exhausted, overwhelmed, hopeful but devastated at the same time. You get to that level of brokenness where all the pieces are just laying there and you're like, well, shit, this is me now. And I don't know, a simple hug from my daughters makes it all better. It ties you together, but you go through the stress of going through work, always barely making it with bills because you stretch every dollar. Let's be real. And girls are needy. My daughter's at the point to where they want to do manicure dates and pedicure dates, and they want daddy to go do the stuff with them. They want to play at the arcade. They take interest in my hobbies, which is cool, like fishing and stuff. But inside, it's like you're tired, and on your times off, you schedule vacations or these ideal getaways for yourself, and then you just sleep because you just want to recuperate, you want to regenerate, you want to recharge, and it's kind of like you're always on this repetitive cycle on the go, and it's kind of like I just want to stop. I want to. That's where the desire for dating does come in, because you want to lay in a woman's lap and let her play in your hair while you sleep. You want someone. That's why I love when I get to see my mom and dad, because when my kids are up and going, I'm always gonna go, even with my parents. And the most weird sensation was my mom putting her hand on my chest and telling me to sit down. She said, "I got this," and she went up and got me. And that was so weird for me, because I felt like, and at the time it was weird because I was with their mother. I was with their mother, but I still felt like a single dad. Because in the relationship dynamic, it was, I worked, I paid all the bills, I cleaned the house, I was the only one that cooked, I cleaned up the dishes, I put the kids down for bed, I got them up for daycare in the morning. This whole time, their mother, and then I felt like I didn't have any help. And so for my own mother to step up and say, "Hey, sit down, I got this, you relax," that was the weirdest sensation of my entire life. And that's when I realized in that moment, wow, I'm tired.
Yeah.
Like, I am absolutely tired.
So what's your release? How do you release your frustrations? What do you do, or how do you release? Or do you?
Sometimes I do. A lot of times I keep it bottled up, but I think every once in a while I'll get a chance. I've been authoring a book for a while, and I think after a couple of years now, it's almost good. So I'm ready to publish. I write and I express, I interact. Like the whole dating sites and everything like that. Yeah, it's cool to meet new people, but you get bored with them easily because it's not the fulfillment that you're looking for. You know what I mean?
Right.
You just say, yeah, I'm not interested, because it just looks like broken people, and I'm at that point where I'm healed, where I'm wholesome. So I guess my release comes in writing or interacting, doing these things like this podcast, and I don't know.
Okay.
So there's no real big hobby. It's like I don't drink or go out there and party. I've never been a club person. I've never been like I would say I've never been promiscuous, but I went through a phase.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went through a phase.
I think we've all had a phase. I understand.
Nah, I went through a phase. Shit, you remember this phase? I wound up and got married out of the blue for all of 4 months.
I remember.
I was doing off the wall shit for no reason, just to prove to myself that I was capable of it.
Yeah.
I was gonna die alone, and I would never find someone to marry. So I was like, oh, okay. So I got married. Nullified that shit after 4 months because it was a horrible decision. Am I against marriage? No, but I just proved that I could do it.
Right.
Man, I might be a sociopath. That was a weird power move.
I cannot with you.
Like, fuck. A poor woman didn't deserve that.
Oh Oh my God.
Might have been the end game of a wager, not inevitable, whatever Thanos
I
said.
mean, at the same time, she was a part of this, so she should have been like, okay, it's only been this amount of time. I don't know, but she
What
went along with it,
she
so she kind of walked into it.
I don't know. I feel like she was the pawn piece that I moved to the other side of the board and said, "Queen me."
Yeah.
So I don't know. And then I got tired of it, so I just wiped her off the board and went back to King moving at one piece. I don't know. It was kind of weird. That was a weird flex in my life. Probably the dumbest shit I've ever done in my life. But hey, I proved that.
It was interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I proved that I'm marriage material. But I don't know. I just got to that point where I just don't want to be marriage material. I want to be quality husband material. I want to find someone that what I go to, and that's why I don't like dating women without children. And I know that's weird because oftentimes you'll hear parents say, "I won't date someone with kids because they don't have kids."
But that's the thing, like that. I've noticed that brings more of an issue because then you have the spouse and low key trying to compete for attention with your children, and it just becomes weird. And then of course, I don't know, it's just weird. It's weird.
Not only that, I'm truly a genuine guy, and I don't ever want to deprive a woman of her own natural experience of childbirth. She should be with a guy that you guys take your time and grow. Especially, I'm 30. I ain't dating no fucking little kid. So if you're young, I feel like you should be out there, date someone that doesn't have kids, get your life together, work on your credit scores, build your ideal life together, and then introduce a kid into that stability. Because I didn't do that, and I don't want to. If I'm dating someone, there's the expectation of saying, "Hey, you're gonna add value to my life." It doesn't have to be monetarily, but it's gonna be in a sense of purpose.
Yeah.
I'm a father with kids. A woman has no business trying to date me if she has no intention of being a mother, and it is not my position as a man to coerce someone to that role. That's oppressive.
Or teach them how to be that.
Oh, correct. And I'm not going to teach somebody how to be a mother. It should be an innate responsibility. So that's why, to me, if you don't have kids, yeah, I'll entertain the conversation if you've been a step parent before, but I absolutely have 100% no interest in you.
Yeah, I honestly feel the same way.
Woman, unless you've had kids yet. That's just how I feel. That's not as a diss. I don't say that as a shortcoming to any other the women that try to get at me and y'all don't have kids. Just that you don't understand the responsibility that you think you're stepping up to. I don't care if you raise your nieces or nephews. Being a mom, being a dad, oh man, you'll sit there at night and be like, yo, what the fuck is wrong with these kids?
No, for real.
Right.
And I think about that. They think about that. Like, as their parent, sometimes you're like, what the fuck? So just imagine you're with someone who doesn't even have kids. You can only imagine what the hell they're thinking.
There's only conscious to that, though. And it comes from a woman that either has kids or a woman that doesn't have kids. The woman that doesn't have kids, they will always say to me, well, have you thought about getting their mom to take care of them for a little bit? So you can... Right. That's her solution. Versus a woman that's already a kid, a woman that's already a kid, a woman that already has kids, she's going to say, well, what are we going to do about it?
Right.
All right, you there?
Yeah. Sorry, guys, we got disconnected.
Yeah, it's cool. I think we just exceeded the time, so I guess this is part 2. Welcome to part 2, motherfuckers.
I cannot.
What's up, fools? Now you hear SA. Welcome back, fools, to part 2 of the Raw Talk. No, I'm kidding.
So crazy.
Yeah, so back in what I was saying, I think that a woman that has an open heart and open mind, and that's something easy to walk into because you automatically come to the table with, hey, this is the understanding.
Yeah.
This is what I expect from a partner, from a man, and as a man, this is what I expect from a woman.
Yeah.
That my kids aren't going to be treated any differently than your kids. Your kids aren't going to be overstepped. That we're not going to counter-parent each other. That if we have conflicting parenting styles,
we'll talk it out behind closed doors, away from the kids' earshot, so that way we stay unified. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
So
I
I don't.
agree.
I feel like that's the biggest challenges. And
Being on the same page.
oh man, being on the same page. So I think that as a father, you asked how I am. I don't know. Like I'm ready. You know,
Hmm.
I'm ready to see what's on the other side of the next chapter. I want to see who my main character is going to be.
Are you done having kids?
Um, I mean, my shooter still works like full blast, full globby glob. So
Oh my lord.
I don't believe in altering your natural body. So I don't believe in like getting tubes tied or nothing like that. I don't know. So if I got married, or even if like marriage was something that we just agreed not to do, whatever the circumstance may be, I'd be open if that's something that
Hmm.
we just do. Or if she already had kids, I'm all about being stepdad. Obviously, you know that. What's up? But no, I mean, I've always wanted to adopt too. You know, the whole idea
Oh,
of the whole idea of having 100 acres is I was adopted.
yeah.
You know, and I wouldn't mind. I've got so much love to give. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And as a man, you live with purpose, and more kids give you more purpose. I don't know. It just depends on the dynamic of the partnership. If I feel like kids can be loved and sheltered and nurtured into a better lifestyle, and it's there with my current dynamic, then I'm all about it. I'd adopt 100 kids.
So is it safe to say that if you were married, and of course you have your children, if let's say anything will happen between your wife and your children, would it be a situation in which you feel like you would have to choose between the two, or how would you handle that type of situation?
Depends on it. If it involves child abuse or neglect, it,
Like if
it's
it was just a point where your children felt like your wife was stepping out of bounds with them, not hitting them or anything like that, but just as far as um they just she was very intrusive, and it became a problem, and the
but
children
who
were starting not to be wanting to be around them, for example.
and I get that, and I think that I'm real tight with God. So let me just clarify this. Like me and him have a
Hmm.
real spiritual relationship, and as a man, if I choose a woman to be my right hand, my figurehead,
Hmm.
outside of loving God first, then it's my wife. My
Hmm.
children reap the benefits of my healthy marriage.
Hmm.
And so with that being said, there's this umbrella factor that where there's the Holy Trinity, then there's the Father and the Mother, then there's the children. So if
Hmm.
anyone's out of line, it's my children not understanding the position that they're in, and I will correct them effective immediately. And my duty as a man is to reinforce the crown of my queen. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So if I'm giving love and respect to my woman, I wish my kids would open their fucking mouth to fix it and ever check my woman. You know what I mean?
And if
If,
your
she,
woman is in the wrong.
if she's in the wrong,
Hmm.
then my kids. Look, I believe there's this thing called the speed of trust, and it talks about effective listening, the characteristics of high trust leaders. One of them is right your wrongs. And so I believe as members of the family, there always needs to be a level of servant leadership. But if she's wrong, then I'm gonna make clear roles and expectations with my kids,
Hmm.
get their sides of it. And then I'm gonna come to her behind closed doors, and I'm gonna talk to her, get a clear understanding, and then I'm gonna advise on a way to right her wrongs with the kids, so that way they can be on a more understanding. Because that's all it is. There's got to be cohesiveness. Everyone has a roles. For them, it's a dynamic shift. They didn't ask for their birth mom and birth dad to fail at being parents.
Yeah.
They are literally a product of sex.
Yeah.
are in this world. They are sentient. They are emotional beings with their own right to their own pursuit of happiness and the way that they view love. It needs to be respected. And I feel like as long as there's reasoning and understanding and there's love and compassion without conditions, the dynamics can learn to balance themselves out. But at all given points, I will not tolerate disrespect from the kids to a woman installed in a position of leadership in the home. And if she's wrong. As a dad, there's sometimes I'm wrong.
Yeah.
And blow up on my kids. For instance, the fixture on the ceiling fan came down from the room, and my kids are throwing stuff around. I thought one of them hit something. Oldest one, she got her little punishment for it. And then she came back and she said, "Dad, I need to tell you something." I said, "Well," she goes, "You were wrong. That light fell down because the screw was loose." I had to come back. I said, "Oh, baby, I'm so sorry. I was wrong." And she goes, "As long as you know you're wrong, we're okay." Matter of fact, that's my baby, you know? So as long as you know. Next time, I'm going to fuck you. Next time, this ain't daddy and daughter. This is daddy, and I'm about to destroy you.
Oh, my God.
I heard it in her voice, so I had to apologize. I said, "Ma'am, I really apologize for stepping out of line. I'm going to talk to my management team. I'm going to be reprimanded. I hope you can forgive me at a later time, and we can buy whatever toy you want. Just don't exceed $50."
Oh, my God.
So, oftentimes as a dad, I'm wrong. We don't know everything. And I think when parents think that they're absolute, it's when you get resentment building your kids. Yes, spare the rod, spoil the child. But God also said, don't push your children to a point of resentment. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of parents, we're dogmatic. We like to apply these rules when it applies to us to make us feel good about ourselves. We've got ego issues. We're narcissistic in that way. Everyone's got a level of narcissism.
Yes, I agree.
You know what I mean? So, I mean, how I feel as far. Are you vetting me out or something? What's up?
Oh my God! Listen, man, these are things that I feel like our conversation with kids and stuff like that is always on our end, the mom's end. So I'm curious, like I'm honestly curious from a single father's standpoint, like how you guys feel about certain things, because we don't get to hear from you guys a lot. We only hear from women, and unfortunately, a lot of time, women are so damn vindictive, and like you said, they use their children as tools. It's important for men like yourself to be able to talk about this and share it, because men don't get much of their experience out, and they're not taken as serious as we are as women.
Yeah, I agree, and that's the thing. I think that dads, it's a blow to our pride when your families don't work out. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Question a lot of your integrity, you question your capabilities, you're gaslit as a narcissist or someone that's abusive or emotionally damaging, and sometimes you have to ask yourself if that's true. And like with my daughter's mother, she'll say, "Oh, well, you're a narcissist." No, I called her out on her one time. I'd say, "No, I'm not. I'm wholesome. I'm respectful. I have boundaries, though. I have expectations, and I'm not a narcissist or a douche flute for setting those parameters and saying, hey, this is my vision. These are the ways that I would like to function and interact with the individuals around me while I pursue my vision." And it's not oppressive, because you know me, I'm probably the most least oppressive man on this planet. There is nothing anyone could say to me that, hey, I want to do this, I want to do that. Motherfucker, you want to be a stripper? Go for it. You want to be a nun and we'll never have sex again? Baby, go for it. I'll come pray for you at church. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I think that at some point as a man, that I've been a war and conflict with myself my entire life. I'm not gonna war and conflict with a woman. I won't. or any
Right.
other man or woman for that matter. So when I would hear these things that they would gaslight me and say that, oh, well, not really they, my daughter's mother, oh, well, you didn't fulfill me emotionally. It's not my job to fulfill you emotionally. It is not my job to make you happy. It is not my job to constantly revalidate your insecurities. At some point, you got to take ownership and accountability for your own wholeness as a woman, just like I'm myself as a man. We need to be wholesome together, but on an individual level.
I agree.
My job is
You
not
need to be that on your own.
correct. And then the other thing is, I'm gonna tell you this grinds my gear like no other. I feel like nowadays that since I've had to struggle so much to carry the weight as a man, I'm pretty okay and stable, and outside of taking care of other people or helping other people out, because I've been in a season of blessing people. I'm pretty okay money, and I do okay for myself.
Yeah.
Especially as a dad with daughters. My car is decked out between the wheels and tires and the all leather heated packages and everything. I'm doing pretty damn good. Do I have debt? Yeah, but 20,000 of the 30,000 I have debt, and it's my car. The other 10 is just prior life lessons in my young 20s. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm doing pretty damn good, and I think that women tend to also prey on that, and I feel like oftentimes I pick up on that real quick because when the status of my livelihood with my kids start depreciating. You know what I mean? And I don't want someone that's going to depreciate the value of my current life. I want someone to add value to it.
Yeah.
I want a partner, and I feel like that's where I'm at. I mean, if she lives in a different state and owns a hair salon and she's fine and in her 30s, that's fine too. You know what I mean? But hey guys, that's all we have time for today. I normally try to keep these to 15 to 20 minute segments. I think this one was such a wholesome thing. So make sure you guys please follow D&D. For me, I'm going to go sit back and reevaluate myself as a single father. Yes, ma'am. You need help with your shirt? Give daddy 1 second, okay? And I'll get you. I love you. And speaking of being single dad, there was my baby right now. So I'm going to cut this off with you guys. Feel free to reach out, subscribe. Let me know if there's a topic you guys want to discuss. Again, I'm going to try to link D&D's link in the bio. Please follow her. Phenomenal woman, phenomenal journey, doing phenomenal things. Thank you. Love you guys. Thanks for being a part of this journey.